Double swoosh, the bans being in already. Classy, Mo, and Kenji. On the side of Crazy Raccoon, the Tara, the Surge, and the Kenji also. Both sides do not want to see any of that slice and dice. The coin toss available for then Crazy Raccoon, and the first pick coming in. Likely to be something of the aggressive kind of nature. Hmble for that bush burn. Really quite an underrated one that I think is a good starting brawler. And that Surge ban as well. I'm a big fan of that, as it's always a fantastic first brawler pickup.
Also, that mythic gear that now Hmble has access to slow people down by a little bit when they're playing inside of her oil field. It's a big difference maker. It really makes it very scary. And this means Crazy Raccoon can actually control the right-hand side of the map a lot easier than they otherwise would be. There's a huge advantage to the opponent playing on that side, given they have the bush cover and can move up and get close. Otis here, coming out from Hmble. Previously, we've really only seen this brawler on Brawl Ball so far this weekend, due to his ability to shut down the ball carrier and render them incapable of taking a shot.
Who would have thought we would have gone from FUT Esports last year in the group stages to this very team? Semantic will definitely be having some recollections of that as this draft coming through. This is a man that understands the mind of Crazy Raccoon, and the drafts again today for Hmble have been fantastic. Gene now coming in. It's a very safe pair of hands in that mid, and that's exactly what Crazy Raccoon are going to need to have themselves here. Jesse available, one of my kind of personal favorites, but certainly for Crazy Raccoon, they like their aggressive brawlers as well. Just in the house, fantastic. They've been on Melody. You can't really leave that in the hands of Tampo. It's open here. That's a bit of a concern.
Looked amazing in Hot Zone. It's also very viable when it comes to Heist. Melody can really chunk that safe down, provided she has the music notes. But Hmble have a strong side laner in Otis, a consummate duelist, and they're going to pair it up with the Gene. It's going to be a penny here for Crazy Raccoon. Again, high damage brawler becomes a real nuisance late in the round once there's a turret developed to give you some map control and also keep the enemy gem carrier on the move.
I don't know whether I'm the biggest fan of that penny pick, to be honest. I mean, Gus was available as well, and it's quite a nice mid to have on this map, and the shielding can be handed over, but penny can work, absolutely so. And certainly with the Hmble, that combination of burning down the bush and leaving the penny to be able to lock on more with the turret. As Pearl comes in now for that lane control brawler, the Overcooked, of course, can just absolutely burn down immediately any opposition standing there. Big, tanky brute that Hmble are going to have to take care of.
Yeah, it's a big deal, I think, as well, if you're putting your Pearl in a gem carrier position, because this dissuades boss or whoever's on the Gene from actually using Magic Hand to hook the Pearl in. If you do that, you're liable to be blown up by that super. It's very, very scary. And with a hypercharge, it leaves a burning area around it when it gets popped. Squeak here to round out the composition for Hmble. Some really interesting brawlers here. These two teams reaching into the last of their reserves in terms of their draft strategy to try and gain an edge.
Squeak has proved to be quite the menace over the course of the World Finals. I didn't mind it, but the question is, can they keep Crazy Raccoon at bay on the side of Hmble? Because they're so aggressive by nature, and Pearl is going to be so difficult to manage on that lane side. Otis as well, sneaking in, it's just not necessarily still for me, one that I am a massive fan of, but that is the Brawl Belt, the thing that both of these two teams are looking to claim and hoist at the end of this matchup. The ultimate prize in the game.
Alongside $400,000, the lion's share of our $1 million prize pool. A pretty penny. Crazy Raccoon are no strangers to this kind of situation. They have been here so many times before, reaching grand finals in consecutive years. They're familiar with this, and they're also familiar with playing in what we might consider hostile territory. They've not really had opportunities to take championships in home territory. It's often been Europe for them here, often with a crowd getting behind their opponents. It's the same for Zeta Division last year, as it often has been. The moments from getting into the game here. There was a mild audio issue. It's been ironed out.
Every day Semantic will come to the dressing room and say, today we're going to lose. And it has not happened yet. Again, that modesty that's so crucial as a player in the pro circuit, shining through. Crazy Raccoon, they've taken definitely the closer of the journeys to get to this stage. But one thing I was saying to Semantic, very honestly, and very openly, was the fact that, yes, they've had 4 grand final appearances this year, but they were only able to lock in the 1 grand finals win back in June against Zeta Division, and that, for me, says that they are very consistent, but also at the same time, not the greatest teams at really locking themselves in.
So, we have some brawlers in this game that have hypercharges that aren't allowed to be used. They came into the game a little bit earlier than was expected and weren't considered legal for World Finals. Now, I'm not calling him out, but Semantic plays with his super and hypercharge buttons slightly overlapping. So he doesn't have to stretch far, he can activate them both very quickly. He has to move his hypercharge button across the screen away from his super button. Otherwise, he's liable to use it by accident, and that would be a game loss were that to occur.
And that's been the case for other players as well, of course, throughout the World Finals. It makes a lot of sense to do so. We've not seen anyone be as bold to use that as any kind of BM yet. No. Can you imagine? Certainly, though, of course, many in the crowd cheering for Hmble as they are also for Crazy Raccoon. Can't be far away now, and I cannot wait to see how this first set goes.
We walked into this year, especially over in the APAC region, seeing a ton of teams rise up, start to actually really put some pressure on Crazy Raccoon, a team in the past who took monthly final after monthly final in that APAC region in 2023. They were far and away the dominant team. We saw Rival Esports step up. Na'Vi even submitted a team and managed to win their first monthly final. They weren't able to make it far through LCQ, but the fact that they got there without even competing in that March monthly final at all says a lot about what they're able to do in that region. Coco Loco, another team that have been around for a while, mostly Hong Kong, as they come through and win themselves a monthly final. That region is treacherous. It is extremely deadly. We talk about how deep this EMEA region is, but Crazy Raccoon, whether they'd admit it or not, have really been forged by these up-and-coming teams all throughout the course of the year, and they've had to work their butts off to maintain that top spot.
Tensai's 5th World Finals, you know? I mean, for someone with that kind of level of experience, you don't get nervous in this position. Tampo is his 4th, for Moy it's his 3rd, and certainly for Moya, chasing, you know, in the shadows of his teammates to gain that first title. He's been looking to achieve it for a few years now. Semantic, especially as a player that comes to mind as someone who's been chasing that dream for many years also. I'm still mind blown by the fact that Luki in his first World Finals is in a Grand Finals. I mean, that is just something which just requires such a level of groundedness. To stay in control of your emotions, it's a rarity to see.
All right, Brawl Nation, make some noise for the last time we're getting in the game. It's a best-of-5 Grand Final between EMEA's Hmble and APAC's Crazy Raccoon.
Gems will be sitting in the mid for a while until the control is there, and Tambo's already got a nice foothold of this right-hand side. There's 2 good placements from Boss for Smur over to that right-hand side. Tensai low here, Semantic getting some good spray damage and a nice fat splatter gadgets as well. Keeps him low, 300 HP, but Semantic's gonna burn down in the meanwhile.
Okay, both side laners there, the Otis and the Amber respectively, using some area of effect to try and take control, but Tensai comes up. That's not the lane he's supposed to win here, but he's looking pretty scary. Tapped down, able to walk away and somehow goes 1 for 1 there. That is absurd.
It's unusual to see a Gene on the lane side as well as on this map. Normally the Gene takes the mid role, but it's going to give Hmble some options. Shatampo will find then Luki on that right-hand side and gets the pickup. Meanwhile, our gems are quite evenly split. 5 for Crazy Raccoon, 4 for Hmble, and now 6 into the pockets as Shatampo moves into a more aggressive place on that right-hand side, but a magic hand going to nowhere. You gotta land those, you don't get many in the game.
No, it's going to take Luki a while to build up another one, and the gem carrier is down. Luki, of course, can scoop these up quite happily, but Boss is that dedicated mid-tier. Semantic loses out, getting against Tensai. 2-time world champion, really showing what he's made of here. And Boss is barely clinging on. That penny turret also providing a virtual 4th player here for Crazy Raccoon. It's too much pressure.
Boss walking forwards, and there was going to be obviously a takedown there. You've got to be a bit more reserved with your positioning power. All 3 members of Crazy Raccoon just sitting back full HP. They're waiting for the Hmble push, and it's taking a time to get there, but with no utility, no pull for Luki. I don't really kind of see what they can do here realistically. The match is over, and it goes to Crazy Raccoon. A slow and sluggish start here for Hmble.
A critical error for Luki. He lets a magic hand go, aimed at nothing in particular. Doesn't have it available to try and put pressure on Crazy Raccoon's gem carrier. That is a slow start from Hmble.
Let's see how they fare this time around. Going in, and Semantic taking that right-hand side. Now going to try his luck with Shatampo, moving Luki into the mid with the Gene and placing Boss with that squeak on the left-hand side. I like these adaptations. They're quite smart, and already you can see how Tensai's forced back. Shatampo lower as well. as a result of being unable to juke as many shots. The pinch between Luki and Boss is good. Now that left-hand side is cleared up.
Great pressure. We've had a complete lane assignment. Luki is now the gem carrier. And Boss has been quite a nuisance here for the Amber of Tensai to deal with. Meanwhile, Semantic, it's a tough battle up against the Pearl, but Otis, one of the few brawlers that can really do it, especially when that super is available. Tensai again, eating a lot of this AoE damage. Super thrown out there by Boss. He does get some purchase, and again, the Amber drops.
Tampo lurking as Semantic is healing. On that right-hand side, good gadget as well, and Semantic surely here going to burn down. He's going to place a lot of pressure onto Luki. Flashing magic hand, but realistically, he can't even think about using it yet. He needs support. Boss going in on Chitampa, that left-hand side, gets Tensai eradicated. Chitampa low now, grouping up with Moya. This magic hand needs to have the support of his teammates on the side of Hmble. And if Moya is going to be seeing it coming, he's going to place a Salty Barrel for sure.
Yeah, Moya down. Oh, the head! Salty Barrel comes down though. Moya's had to use that gadget, but it gets him out alive. Luki needs at least a 2 versus 1 after he lands a hook to guarantee the gem steal.
Luki now trying to earn it back. So much oil on the map on this left-hand side. Boss is really restricted as where he can go. Luki's going to be cautious there, just evading it. These magic puffs healing will be quite crucial. Hypercharge for Boss going in. Moya's in trouble. The gems are down and Chitampo is low. He's eradicated. Hmble, collect all the goods and get on that countdown, running back into the spawn. It's going to require a big reset here from Crazy Raccoon.
That is huge from Boss. He and Semantic can simply stand forward here and block passage for the rest of Crazy Raccoon. Hmble, with the adaptation, with the lane switch, have gotten themselves a game in this first set.
Great stuff from Hmble. You've got to hand it to them. They were not in that first game, not mentally, not on the map, and the adaptations worked out beautifully. Now the question is, Crazy Raccoon know what's coming. So how are they going to fare this time around in what is one game apiece?
So they keep this lane assignment for Tensai. Now he needs to retool his mindset to deal with this very annoying squeak. And does Moya get swapped out to the right side? Salty Barrel used already. Semantic starting to become a little bit of a bully on the right side, but Chitampo surges forth at just the right moment. But no gems have yet been picked up by Crazy Raccoon. Luki has 4 to his name.
Boss doing great work on this left-hand side, but now the pinch is there between Moya and
damage.
Tensai. Cleared up so immediately there. 4 gems for Hmble, though they're playing a much better job in that mid-roll. Semantic and Luke hunkering down, the mute available there for Semantic also. And if he places it at just the right time, even a Pearl is going to go down so swiftly as Boss, tapping that left-hand side, can now move forwards. He's got super to hand as well.
Mute connects, Chitampo under pressure. Semantic can 1v1 anybody with that super connecting. Oi, okay, Magic Hand gets the turret. They can now at least clear that out of the way. But Moya will have super available again soon. Semantic, all ships in the night. They run into each other, and he hit the mute somehow. Here's a countdown for Hmble, and Crazy Raccoon are penniless.
How did Semantic manage to land that as opposed to the barrel? Nonetheless, Hmble have got the lead, running back to the spot, but the gems are dropped. It'll be a reset. They've got to play it slow and patient. They get the gems back. The time is ticking away now, and Crazy Raccoon are getting some momentum.
Tensai just gets brought down by some of that squeak damage. Another hand to catch the turret that might actually be intentional, believe it or not. Chitampo moves up, hits that super. Luki goes down. 2 seconds left, and Hmble keeps Semantic alive. Get down, Mr. President.
Hmble just seem to have the ice in their veins. What a comeback. Beautiful adaptations. And the comparison was a night and day difference. They looked so weak and weary in that first game, not in it at all. Just turn things around to come out victorious in the first set. It's a huge advantage.
I mean, I wonder if Coach Kanan's had much to do with that. They had the Otis laning against Amber on the left side, did Hmble, and Semantic was struggling. He was losing hard to Tensai. That all changed as soon as Boss stepped up and stepped into the left lane. All of a sudden, even Chitampo and Pearl couldn't deal with the Otis. And all of a sudden, Semantic took over the game. And this is great when you have multiple viable mid options on gem grab. You can make these adaptations.
That view there was beautiful from Semantic. It would have put a lot of pressure on Hmble to gain that last gem off the mid, and he would have lost the lane as well. mean, look, when you look at the stats across the board, really, Semantic had a fantastic game, 279 DPS there. 9 takedowns though for Hmble, but I gotta give a commendable shout out to Boss, because once he swapped to that left-hand side lane, he had to juggle 2 players on the side of Crazy Raccoon, and more often than not, he was holding his own, he was the rock on that left.
This is what we'd love to see. This composure from a team like Hmble, who need to make a pretty huge change, wholesale, to their strategy midway through a set, and they managed to win it for themselves. Let's double back and talk about the penny pick though. For me, that one's a bit of a miss for CR.
It's not my favorite. I've seen many teams kind of try it out and see how things fare, but I've got to be honest, it hasn't got the best win percentage in my opinion along the way. And again, with that Gene pick, you know, I like when I see a magic hand used for that turret. It really is a real problem that once it's taken care of, allows you much more space to maneuver. As we move in now to our second set, Hot Zone. Open business, ban's already in. Kenji, Clancy, Mo, and the barriers, of course. We saw earlier today just how influential that was for Hmble. Crazy Raccoon had to eradicate it. Combined with that Meg, SK Gaming had no opportunity. First pick a Gale, and not a bad one at that.
This is the kind of map is also where Nita makes her appearance at times, or other tanks. I mean, Daryl is still on the table. You can make that work. We've even seen teams try and play Rosa here in the past, despite the lack of bushes. We got a rowdy crowd today. I like it.
It's the best we've had in Brawl. I've always wanted to hear the crowd over my own voice. And today, and this whole weekend has been that time. It's like a rowdy football match. Surge comes in for Hmble. I really do like this as the first brawler pick. The range is great to have, but it's also a fantastic tank counter. And we've seen in Hot Zone just how influential tanks can realistically be. So if Crazy Raccoon were thinking they've now got to second guess themselves, the melody's still there though. We've seen that from Crazy Raccoon time and time again. Even Semantic himself knows firsthand how difficult it has been to shut down Hmble when he has that brawler, Byron, coming in for Hmble. Great amount of heals, and that's what you need to have. It's all about the objective, and more heals means more time spent on that zone.
We saw Moya on this pick previously, up against Reply Totem, in a composition that didn't even really feature a tank that they were trying to back up. This is the kind of map where, you know, you become a pseudo-thrower when you have that super available, of course, as Byron. So you can shelter behind those walls and flip the fights on their heads with that super. Also, going back to Surge, he has the ability to jump over these barriers. They're thin enough that he can get into a fight and take you by surprise, pop a power shield. I warned you all at the start of this game, Max is where Crazy Raccoon find themselves in their comfort zone. They snapped it up here at pick 2.
Aggression, agility, and speed. Those are the 3 words that I would use to describe Crazy Raccoon. They've already gone in with such a wonder pick. One that has made Tensai famous across the world in Brawl Esports history. Definitely a troublesome thing for Hmble to be looking at as Larry and Laurie come in as well. I mean, I'm really liking this. You've got the thrower for control. You've got the aggression of that Max to really lend a hand, the hypercharge as well. And Gale is a force to be reckoned with quite literally in this game. Hmble better have a trick up their sleeve here, because this is a gnarly comp.
This is a short-range comp for Crazy Raccoon, though. That's one thing worth pointing out. True. Neither Max nor Larry and Laurie can really cover much of the map, and the problem for throwers here on Hot Zone is that they struggle to stand out on the point out in the open. The Frank pick, combined with the Byron, no less. That's a little dirty.
You know what though, watching Semantic play Frank earlier today, down the barrel of that Colette and just coming out on top time and time again. I have not seen Frank play this good on a world final stage. If Semantic, who I'm assuming is going to be on that Frank, can bring the same fire that we saw versus SK Gaming in Brawl Ball into Hot Zone versus Crazy Raccoon, I feel like we are going to be in for a massive treat.
Set number 2 will be Hot Zone, and Hmble walk in with a 1-0 scoreline. Let's see how they navigate this with the Frank up against the Gale, and Semantic already cops an absolute beating.
Low HP, forced back. Luki already has super, though, he's been doing work. A nice space shift there from Tensai to evade certain peril. As now, Crazy Raccoon starts to push forwards. A nice from the left-hand side from Hmble. Semantic low on 180 HP. He's got to come back a little bit. But Hmble have done a good job of staying on that zone early on.
But Moya's able to move up on that left side. That's when Larry and Laurie gets really annoying on this map, when his team has control. Boss, gadget pop there. Doesn't actually have power shield in this particular game. Just wants to try and bank shots off those walls if he can. He's pretty healthy, And of course, with Super up, has that invulnerability frame. Luki's done a great job keeping him topped up. Symantec has Super here. He can start to break open the map, deny Moya's safe positioning. And there it is, break it on open. Symantec now leaves Boss to get that capture percentage.
Hypercharge for Tensai and a nice takedown there, and Boss straight onto the zone. It's a team wipe, and Crazy Raccoon now can get hunkered down. It's going to be a very tough thing to push into a Gale with Super as well, and Hmble know it. They're going to recollect themselves very quickly and start to whittle down Crazy Raccoon gradually along the way.
You've got to avoid the spawn camp, Peter. He gets a throw out, and you're dealing with a Gale Super. Symantec suffers that. It's a hypercharge, in fact, so it comes in twice, and he cycles it a second time. That is terrifying. Boss still able to step up and fight. Great catch on Tensai. You almost had to, I tell you. Chitapo is low. He's had to be firing this whole time. And there comes a hypercharged Super from Symantec. Gets him the one. The Crazy Raccoon already have a distinct lead now.
Boss pushing through with the help of Luki there with the huge heals out of there, but it's not even enough. A beautiful Super there from Chitapo, and now Hmble are really stumbling out of control. 84% for Crazy Raccoon, and now another takedown. They're firming him. There's only 10% remaining.
Yeah, the lorry's a problem here. Hmble have to deal with that. Boss takes far too much damage on the approach. And Crazy Raccoon bounce back from a slow start.
A solid game under pressure. As Crazy Raccoon start to dig deep. A great comp, one that I feel could very much win this set. But Hmble have shown us already today against this very team. They have got adaptations up their sleeve, or now they need to start to bring that in to Hot Zone.
Symantec opted to bring a Frank here to a Gale composition. We have to wonder if he's regretting that at all right now. Super up for Symantec. Hmble have gotten to 20% capture percentage to Crazy Raccoon's 8. A good lead.
Crazy Raccoon now pushing the speed coming through, but they are falling behind. 37 now, 40% for Hmble. And Crazy Raccoon haven't had a single look and pushed back deep into the spawn side now. They've got to regroup. They've got to find themselves yet again and going back to the first game as Hmble playing this far better than before.
Yeah, Chitapo needs to build some supers. He cycled them well last time, but Boss wins his fight on the right. Chitapo gets behind him, but he's stunned up by Symantec Super. And this is a massive lead now for Hmble.
It's just, again, it's a night and day difference. I mean, Hmble come in, they lose the game, but then they come back like this.
Lord.
8% is all that is there for Crazy Raccoon. They've got to really take this entire game behind. They just can't do it. Hmble are on the zone, 100-8. Crazy.
Moya just gadgeted into a Frank hit. He needed the healing, I get it. But he dashes in the direction of Laurie and puts himself in the line of fire.
Can Hmble do it again? That's the question.
Mate.
It was a tough first game. I was surprised they were even to make that one look so convincing. They got that early control. And I think that's what it comes down to here. Symantec already tanking like 4 shots there from that Larry and Laurie. It's going to need more than just a couple of hills there from Luki. Boss in the zone now, popping gadget. Does need, again, that support of Luki, who's just doing his best to be everywhere in this game.
Much better early pressure here for Crazy Raccoon. Symantec can't play forward right now. Boss, though, wants to try and overwhelm. This is a lane switch here for Crazy Raccoon. The Moya eventually capitulates. The pressure from Luki from mid was too much, and Symantec brings down the lorry. Boss has been out of his mind on this right side of the map, and Tensai's lucky to be alive after that shot came in. 42% to 9.
What's going on? The aggressive again. It's going to be cautious to not feed too much in there to Tampo. As then Tensai comes in, lovely face shift, but Boss is still there. He is that rock. Symantec playing ring around the rosy there with Moira on the left-hand side. Laurie going over the fence and does find a kill. But again, Boss is there. 528 HP, but he's still locked in.
How's he alive? Luki tops him back up, but Hmble have to get off of the point for a time. But Symantec's back, and he means business. Tensai face shifts forward, but Boss is able to bring him down. Hypercharge available for 2 Hmble players, and Crazy Raccoon are about to run into the wood chipper.
How can you push into 2 hypercharges? Symantec going straight into the eye of the storm. Gets the stun there, Laurie, and Luki can sit back and relax. Chitapo's going to come in with a lovely super perk. Is it going to be realistically enough? There's only 2% remaining. Boss coming back in now, trying to get that super, trying to get on the zone, and Hmble do it. They get the set and place Crazy Raccoon into a perilous position. Symantec there saying, just one more.
Let's have a look back at some of these moments here. Awkward start for Hmble. Crazy Raccoon able to get off to the races. Cycling supers from the Gale. Tensai, nigh uncatchable, unkillable in the middle part of the map. But eventually the lane assignment started to swing in Humble's favor. Here you can just see the pressure that Laurie can put down on you, but Boss really activated. Up on that right side, doesn't matter if it was Moya or Shtatampo that he had to fight. He took on all challenges and came out on top.
I'm so impressed. I really am with Hmble. Every time, every set, losing the first game, but learning so immediately, quickly against a team that are absolute masters of Brawl. It's scary stuff. It makes you feel like it could be another EMEA year. We still got plenty more still to go. But for Crazy Raccoon now, they are 2 sets down. How'd you come back from that? They've done it before, but can they do it again?
A reverse sweep in our grand final. That'll be almost too much to imagine. Last pick, Frank, for Semantic. He brings it in, he says, I know there's a Gale here. I know I'm going to be under pressure. I know they have throwers, but Frank just so powerful, can really open up the map. And all of a sudden, when you start to see those supers come through from Semantic, as the masonry starts to be destroyed, that's where Boss can walk up and start to be a real threat. We talked about the short-range nature of this Crazy Raccoon comp. That gets exacerbated when the map gets broken up.
It screams confidence. It says to me, you've got to ban this brawler. You've got to just adapt away from what is just like the hard meta and ban what I know that I can absolutely go to town on you with. He did it in Brawl Ball against SK earlier today, looking at that Colette and saying, I'm not worried. He did it again there against the Gale, saying, I'll do it again. And people don't learn. Crazy Raccoon banning the Melody can only mean one thing, and that Hmble have the coin toss. And this could be a bit of a nail in their own coffin. They would love to have got their hands on that Melody pick. They would have certainly snapped it up as a first brawler pick if they hadn't been able to do so in that position. And Colette coming in for Hmble, a beautiful first brawler.
Now in the past, in this tournament even, we saw Crazy Raccoon go for a crazy Bonnie pick on Safe Zone. Slightly different map, but a lot of the same principles do apply. Bonnie pretty good at the poke down game, and of course can all in onto a safe and start attacking it up close. No surprise to see Colette here from Hmble. It doesn't really tip their hand in any way. It's just a very good brawler. Another brawler that, again, can attack the enemy safe from a relatively safe distance and cycle those supers if any defenders are unlucky enough to get caught in the damage. Lola here, picked up for CR. Just a very, very good mid to long range brawler in terms of that damage output.
We already saw today, against Hmble when Joker had 756 DPS damage with the Lola pick, and they still lost. It was crazy. I've never seen that much DPS in my life. Here it works a lot better. I can hear you with that Bonnie pick. Certainly the first thing I look for is to see whether Crow is banned, if that's the idea, and it is banned. It's a possibility here. For Crazy Raccoon, they're going to bring in the Kenji. A dangerous one for sure, and Heist. Is it his best game mode? I'm not massively convinced. I was surprised that Hmble actually won that set earlier today with that very brawler. And it's one they cannot snap up now. Certainly, if Boss goes with Colt, I know we're going to be in for such a treat. And no one bans it against Hmble. I still don't know why. Every time in Heist, they seem to bring it in, but this time going with the Bell. It's definitely that safe pair of hands. The Mark can be quite influential to land onto the Kenji. But is it going to be enough? It's not the best in DPS.
This is definitely a control-oriented brawler. Hmble are assuming if Crazy Raccoon want to try and take up residence in the middle of the map in that grassy area, Boss can actually get some extra value as those shots will bounce between enemy targets that are within close proximity.
Certainly with the Lola, that's their thinking process there, is to simply use that ego and you can see Semantic there maybe indicating about swapping lanes there as well.
The bell shots bounce between Lola and her ego.
Exactly.
8-bit here for Hmble. Okay. This is an interesting one. I mean, a few different ways you can take this, but this really does scream to me, we want to set up shop in the middle of the map. We want to just dominate in the control game and then start to use Colette to pressure that safe down, use our safe long range, whether it's extra credits or, war cartridge here from Lukey, or cheat cartridge, excuse me, remains to be seen, but nice way to round out a composition that had maybe questionable levels of damage output. Ah, the old faithful.
If that hypercharged turret lands onto the Hmble safe, it will be decimated in seconds. The Jesse pick is a very strong one for Crazy Raccoon, but for Hmble, they've just got to not feed into it and do their very best to avoid giving more power over to Crazy Raccoon. Not going to be easy to do with a slow and sluggish 8-bit. And that damage boost to the bouncing shots will go between the two. Without the plugged-in star power, we'll see what that 8-bit is bringing to the table. If that's not the case, then it could be even more challenging to avoid feeding into that Jesse.
Okay, it's going to be G cartridge here. For this 8-bit, plugged in, also taken as the star power arc. Let's see how these lanes pan out. Shitampo getting kind of pummeled there by Boss. Gotta respect the 8-bit, and there's the damage booster deployed.
Tensai forced back, and now there's the heal, but Boss comes in, and look at that! Tapping up so strongly in that right-hand side.
Damage?
Beautiful mark there from Luki. The team play is unreal, and as quickly as that, Hmble on the safe.
This is it. The set that Hmble need to take to hold the belt aloft. Crazy Raccoon have decent mid-control if they can get there, but they've got to start to win some of these poke battles. Boss is down here. Shitampo's fun has made his way through finally. Now threatens the safe. Moya has an eco up, but it's spaced back from the Lawless. We need to get quite close to get both shooting at that safe. Big damage here for Crazy Raccoon. And now they'll get ahead.
A lovely lineup there for Semantic to really line up the turret and some extra damage on that left-hand side. It made for a good defense, but it has pushed Crazy Raccoon into a small lead. Shitampo forcing that left-hand side, but a nice mark hypercharge there from Luki, and Semantic staying firm in position, looking to try to earn that hypercharge, of course. If he gets down to the safe, it'll be devastating. Tensai has hits. That's a huge concern for Hmble. I think he'll be so cautious now on defense.
But this is what we talked about. Set up shop in mid-arc and be immovable. Crazy Raccoon haven't been able to unseat Hmble from this part of the map. Boss is able to fall back. Semantic helps him bring Shitampo down. Crazy Raccoon to 51% on their safe. Tensai's got to dodge a whole lot of these shots. Luki does fall, but here's some free damage for Semantic.
Goes in, uses it onto Moya. Not the greatest of connections, let's be honest, but enough damage to give themselves a little bit of a cushioning as we approach the 30-second mark, and Luki is staying so strong from his left-hand side, bouncing his time between that mid, but Shitampo now lurking forwards, marked up immediately. The accuracy of Hmble is great, but now CL can collect themselves and go in for a push.
Playing around that damage booster now. Boss obviously wants to make sure he benefits from speed, and we're switching into a defensive stance here for Hmble. They want to try and pressure Crazy Raccoon down before they think to come forward. Mark on Shitampo, Tensai there with a star power. Scrappy's hitting hard, 49%, it's getting low. Moya in a present. Ah! There it is!
Semantic!
3 seconds!
He's got it!
Semantic gets Hmble around. The solo mission onto the safe with the Colette Super. And Hmble are 1 game away.
The crowd is electric.
I'm the leader of the
Coming into this set, Semantic said one more set. And now it's one more game to take home the gold. Already a swift eradication of Tensai there as Shitampo and Moya left all alone. And these marks from Luki, we gotta talk about them. They're landing every single time on that Kenji, time and time again. And that is the thorn in the side of Crazy Raccoon.
Have we ever seen a debut from a rookie on the world stage like this? He has been incredible over the course of the weekend. Semantic though, it's a whiff off that super. Still shielded up enough. Moya definitely has to respect this. Has to watch out for the bouncing damage from Luki. Tensai struggling against the 8-bit. Takes the tap and Boss finishes the job. Shitampo also quite low here. Luki playing from inside that damage booster means the Bell is a legitimate threat. Another ego that's going to be short-lived as Moya has to throw them so far away from himself.
It's just a matter of time before Boss will pick him up. Semantic as well, turret into the mid for Tensai. You need to be saving that ready for the safe. Semantic now just going to use that onto the 3 shots that he's able to obtain. Gets the 10%, gives Hmble a small lead.
It's a narrow one, 6% here. Crazy Raccoon starting to posture towards Humble's safe. Boss is down, Moya's a problem here. Has another super available, so the damage output will be dastardly. Semantic just wants to play around the wall here. Boss back off respawn, but the Kenji in the left is a problem.
Tensai has got hypercharge as well, but Luki finds it.
He's
Gets
down.
the follow-up as well. The taps are on point, and now Boss coming forwards there. Not going to be popping Gadget just yet. Wants to reserve it slightly.
They're ignoring
Remember,
him.
Shitampo is on the safe. He is marked up, and he is getting consistent damage
Luki.
in for Crazy Raccoon.
Crazy Raccoon are ahead now. The Kenji gets to have his way with the safe and brings Luki down. Hmble have got to respond. Super there from Semantic onto the safe for Crazy Raccoon. A slim lead here for Hmble. Luki has a second bite at the apple. Still trying to get this Kenji out of the way. It's even at 67 apiece.
A nice takedown there from Boss. and he kept his own life in the process. Not an easy thing to do there, as Semantic was low himself and couldn't necessarily tank. Good taps to the left-hand side. Moya low now, forcing out the Ego, but the Ego goes down so quickly. Great mark again from Luki, popping the hypercharge, and they secure the right side of Tensai.
Here we go!
Semantic going in, nice hypercharge and some great damage along the way. The time is ticking!
11 seconds left in the game. Sitampo has to go for a super to dodge his shot, but Boss is going to be there at Tensai with a hyper. No turret to use. Hmble, 50%. Crazy Raccoon have fallen short. And here we have 3 Hmble guys who just happened to be the best Brawl Stars team in the world.
Unbelievable! Such a phenomenal performance from Hmble this year. Just unreal. The fist pumps and the respect. A wonderful performance. Staying modest keeps you grounded, but being victorious cements a legacy. As they approach the belt to lift it, and Hmble are your Brawl Stars World Champions!
Finally, Semantic has his day. From humble beginnings to glorious ends. That's been the story of this team. Formed for one purpose, to achieve greatness. And we've got to hear it from the boys themselves. Let's head down to the stage, get some words from your world champions.
Semantic, Luki, Boss. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise one more time for Hmble!